So one of the things I gotta do is I originally designed this. I wrote that, did the outline right there, and I don't know if you can see this or not, but right here are my grain lines running up and down this way. Not my cut lines, the grain lines. Grain lines are the ones that you want to run vertically when you're holding the axe or whatever it is this way, right? So the way that I've got this currently designed out, it's going the wrong way. So now I want to turn it around and draw my outline right here. I'm going to try to get that centered as much as possible. And then once I have a good spot, I want to just simply trace it out with my pen. I'm going to trace the inside first, and then I'll go around the outside. Now why the outside? Well, the wood has to come out through the top, and if I just did the inside, then what would happen is my wood would be too thin and would end up sliding off the end. So what I do is just make an outline like that, and then I can cut the excess away here and here. And then once I've got it narrowed down, I know for a fact I can't go any thinner than this. So once I get these pieces removed, what I end up doing is I'll start shaping it after that. Now, I kind of did a center mark here so that whenever I'm working on this device, I kind of keep my center line so that I know, and keep it straight. I've done several of these when I didn't do my center line, and when I went to go start shaping it, all of a sudden the line just kind of bent over. So on this one, I'm going to go ahead and draw my center line, draw my outlines, remove my excess, and then when I start shaping it, I'm going to start making sure that this wood kind of comes to that line and comes to that line like so. Anyways, we'll start shaping it down, and then hopefully it'll turn into something. All I'm trying to do is to get this profile down to what we've already cut off. Alright, so I'm just trying to make it match that end piece right there. And again, keeping my center line so I know not to go over it and know how to keep my angle off of it there. So my goal in doing this right here is not to go deep, right? I'm just kind of, if I go like this, what's going to end up happening is I'll end up cutting too deep, and then I'll end up removing too much material, having a jerk on it, that sort of thing. Really, all I'm trying to do is just get enough off where I can get a good curl going, and trying to keep my lines. So all I'm trying to do right now, get this little round profile right here, and then just kind of make this piece eventually start going down this way. But at the moment, all I'm trying to do is just keep it flat, and then I'll start adding my curve, my gradual slope in just a little bit. So now I got these marks. I can see my high spots where I need to start shaving some more down. Shaving some more down. And finish it out with a draw knife, maybe. Go ahead and sand this down so I can see how that's going to look. Got that side looking pretty decent. I'll have to hit it back more with the sandpaper, but what I get with the file and the draw knife, I think we're good there. So what I'm doing now is, occasionally just grab a handle, check my thickness. It's way too wide. Come back, take a look down the shaft and see if I'm staying kind of square or not. Not. So what I really want to do when it comes to width, I don't want to take too much off this side, because it kind of, you can almost see it right here. This wood kind of takes a curve. It almost looks like it kind of comes in this way. Right here is perfect. You can kind of take a look at that. So I put it, oh, this is a curved blade, piece of blade too. Let me grab my pencil. See if I can do it this way. If I put my pencil right there, you can see I've got that gap right there. So what's going to happen is I'm going to have to create that same line, but over here. Alright, so in order to straighten it out, I need to take more off this side and come down this direction to make that where it lines up right here. So I will have to take a little bit out, like right here, all the way up through here, possibly a little line right there, and then this line will stay straight and come down through here. So essentially what will end up happening is you just get a straight line from right here and right here, and just go straight up. Okay, so that lets me know that these parts over here are kind of where I want to go. Feeling me? Feeling me. And if I look right here, it curves back in. You can see a little bit of a gap right here. So this is a high spot. I'll get rid of this gap right here. Kind of highlighted it up there so I'll know to get rid of this. But not take too much off, because again, gotta keep it here. Those X's that I drew right here. So I'm gonna start kind of taking down this side a little bit. Hopefully I can. What you can see is I made a mark. It's not so much as the wide sides anymore as much as on the top here. So keep taking it off, putting it back on, sliding it up and down, make my marks. You can see here's where the top of the Mattock head is hitting right now. I want it to be closer to here. So I'll just take the rasp and just keep, just keep going like this right here. Try to get all this stuff down, smoothed off. Again, back off, back on. What I'm doing is I'm getting the head, this end up here, fit perfect the way I want it anyways. And then what I'm going to do is I'll make sure that my lines line up all the way down the rest of the handle, and I'll just start forming the handle so that if there's any bends or curves or anything like that, I can get that out of there. I kept this side right here long because this is green wood, and this green wood will have a tendency to shrink down. So I've got extra on the end so that as it gets dried out more, I can slide this down up a little bit more. Then I'll eventually cut it off right at the top. But getting the fit of the hand, some spots just a little wide, right here. So I kind of marked, come back through and sand it down a little bit more, and just keep shaping. Just keep shaping until it fits the hand and works well. So got a little bit more work done. You can see there's little spots here and there where I gotta come back in, put some sawdust and glue. Keep going through there, but that's kind of what I'm looking at. I got some spots highlighted. That's giant gouge. I gotta take care of that. But getting there quite nicely. All right, so we got some little gashes in here that we need to make sure we fill in before we get going and using it. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this little wood glue, some super glue, some oak shavings. We'll fill these holes in and we'll sand it back down. Let's get started. All right, we're gonna let that side dry out for a little bit, and then we'll find some more. All right, so let's take a look at the work we got done here. So we got the glues dried up, wood chips are in there. We're gonna sand this down and see, just kind of how well the wood chips filled it in. Let's get started. We'll start off with a 120, and should hopefully be enough to kind of knock down those rough edges without scratching up the rest of the handle too much. I'm going to be giving it a final sand anyways, probably do a burn on this one. Don't really care too much about how it looks, we just really want to get it functional. I'm going to start out, I'm just going to be using my hand and sanding with my hand. So real quick, light coat. I'm going to fold it over a little bit so I can contain the area that I'm sanding. Again, just trying to stay out of that handle as much as possible. When I'm sanding with my hand, what I'm doing is I'm also trying to feel. So with my fingertips, as I'm going across this, I'll start feeling little taps as I go over these high spots. And what I'm doing is I'm just kind of using that to whenever it starts to be more smooth across my fingers, I'm not feeling tap, tap, tap a little bit as much, I should say. Then I'm like, okay, that's getting to the point where the sanding doesn't need to be done anymore. I can just kind of relax and then maybe even move on. Take my finger, just kind of feel across it. I feel a few little bumps here and there. So I'll say, oh, okay, that's where I need to focus a bit more on. I said more on. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I feel a little bump. right here. And essentially what's happening is I've actually got a little hole right there. So when I'm feeling that tap as I'm sanding, it's not because there's a high spot. It's actually because there's a little bit of a low spot. So that's kind of where the sawdust and glue did not fill in as much. But I don't need to keep sanding on it. That's good for now. Go ahead and move on to the next one. You'll see me rotating the wood as I'm sanding. And the reason why I'm rotating is to make sure I'm not creating a flat spot. So I want to make sure I keep rotating it so that even though I should only be hitting that high spot with the sanding paper, chances are I am getting into that wood a little bit. So what I'll make sure I'm doing is I'll rotate it so that I'm not sanding one spot too flat. And I'm keeping that round shape of the handle. Alright, so I got another little run here I didn't catch the first time. And what I'll do is I'll take this fine sawdust and throw it in there and make a mix of it. All in all, this right here is not going to, create a splinter, or it's not going to feel uncomfortable in the hand when I'm using it. So it's really kind of the goal. Again, this one's not to make it like real pretty. It's just to make it functional and make it comfortable while you're using it. If you're going to be working with the tool, you want it to be kind of, as comfortable as possible, while you're working with it. So that's really the main goal of this. It's not to be pretty, it's just to be functional. I'm gonna go back to fill in some of these other holes, come back in, glue it in, let it dry, sand it back down, keep on going. Patted it in first, just tap it in there, and then what I do is I just start kind of pushing a little harder, helping to squeeze out the glue and push in the sawdust. And then once I've got what I think is going to be the right amount, just very lightly run my finger over the top of it. What this is going to do is it's going to help me to remove some of that excess that's on the top. And when I get the excess off, it's going to make it easier for sanding later down the road. Plus, I can kind of start to see if I have any low spots. I can come back in real quick like and throw some more on there if I need to. And I am going to be putting on a glove for this. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, wait a minute, I thought this was like a budget build type thing. How come you are going out and buying all this stuff? Well, I'm going to tell you a little secret. You see, there are rewards to doing the nice and doing things that are right. One of the rewards of doing what's right is, hey, sometimes it makes you feel good, right? You may not enjoy doing it at the time, but when all's said and done, like, hey, I actually feel better. I had a good time. One of the other things is sometimes you get stuff out of it. Like we talked about the wood, where we went and helped the neighbors with the trees after a tornado, and how we were able to clear that out, get that sold. Let's talk about another thing that's really good for people, and that is visiting people in the hospital. Now, I have many health conditions, so I try to avoid the hospital as much as possible. But there are times when maybe someone you know is sick. Maybe it's someone you don't know. Maybe it's someone you just barely or vaguely know, like someone you go to church with or something. They're in the hospital, and you know what? It'd be nice just to go visit them. Well, I'll tell you, it's not always fun. But there is a small little perk, and that's why I brought this story up, is the fact that they give you these gloves, right? So instead of having to go and buy gloves every time, if you just go to the hospital and visit people while they're sick, when you walk into the room, there are these gloves designed for you just to take and put on. And for every person you go and visit, you can get you a new set of gloves. So, kind of like what we talked about with the crayons in the previous video, these hospital gloves are the same way. So, enjoy the benefits of doing the right thing. Now, by all means, do not just go visit someone in the hospital because you want the gloves. You can't walk in, hey, how you doing? Oh, by the way, I'm just here for gloves. Hope you feel better. Out. No. Take time. Visit with people. Enjoy the company. I'm sure that they will enjoy your company as well.